Welcome to LFC Transfer Hub. Liverpool are in a horrible cycle. Selling Andy Robertson is the last thing they need. Second news is Liverpool transfer talks confirmed as sporting director drops hint after Andy Robertson decision. Now details. The news that Andy Robertson now looks set to stay at Liverpool is great to hear after the talks with Tottenham Hotspur in recent days. You simply cannot replace what Robbo gives that dressing room at Anfield, keeping morale high and striking the right tone inside the squad. That's before you even mention what he is able to give you on the pitch, where he continues to be an excellent alternative to Milos Kerkez, who has had a good few weeks. Losing Robertson this month would have been similar to when James Milner or Jordan Henderson went out of the door. These are big personalities who drive the culture and keep standards high every day. They are difficult to replace as characters and leaders. The last thing Liverpool need right now is to lose more defenders, so it looks as though the right decision is being made. And Arne Slot needs to be honest with him too. Kerkez, Saturday's 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth aside, has been in good form and has been improving in the last month or so. He remains the future on the left side of the defence, but Robertson will still have some opportunities. Look, from Andy's perspective, I get it. He wants to play, he wants to be a starter, and he wants to make sure he arrives at this summer's World Cup. Scotland's first for 28 years, in the possible condition he can, in form, playing and ready for what will be some of the proudest days he will have in football. But he will know the score from the club's point of view as well. He will get game time between now and the end of the season, and all he has to do is give 4 more months of the outstanding service he has given for the last 8.5 years, and then he can walk away with his pick of the clubs. And he will deserve to have his choice. He can go anywhere and make himself an important part of a new club. That is, of course, if he doesn't want to stick around on a new contract, if those talks are continuing behind the scenes. He is a proper player and has been since he joined all those years ago, a club legend who has given everything, but it seems his time isn't over just yet at Anfield. Quite right too. Back to square one. After steadying the ship at the end of November, it feels like the 3-2 loss to Bournemouth has put Liverpool right back to square one. It was a performance that was something we were used to seeing before that 13-game, unbeaten run. 3 goals conceded to a side who, with respect, are not Arsenal or Inter or maybe even Marseille, which all yielded clean sheets. This was a Bournemouth side who had only won 1 in 14 before Saturday, so much went wrong defensively. On the ball it was neat and tidy, and we're not playing at 1,000,000 miles an hour right now. We all know that, but the goals conceded were just so poor. It was beyond that even. Blame the wind, the rain, the snow, whatever the weather conditions, you have to deal with things much better than Liverpool did, particularly the first goal that starts with Virgil van Dijk failing to clear his lines and ends with an injury to Joe Gomez. Schoolboy stuff. After that, you have to say they did really well to get back into it at 2-2, but it's another last-gasp goal that has cost us points. It's happening too often, and it, ultimately, is a mentality thing. It has to be because it is 5 times now where Liverpool have conceded a goal in stoppage time to take away vital points. If you take away those late goals shipped against Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Leeds United, Fulham and now Bournemouth, Slot's men would have 9 more points. That would place them 1 point behind third place Aston Villa, who I hope go on to win the Premier League title, by the way, rather than this dogfight they are in for the final Champions League spots. Conceding late goals so often is not a fitness thing, it's more of a psychological problem. It's like a striker going on a barren run, it can get to you at times, and it can almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as it were. The more it happens, the more the team panics late on, which leaves them more susceptible to it happening once more. It's a horrible cycle to be in once that panic sets in. Liverpool need to deal with that better from a defensive point of view. It could cost them a top 4 spot. Second news is Liverpool transfer talks confirmed as sporting director drops hint after Andy Robertson decision. As Roma remain locked in talks with Liverpool over cancelling Kostas Tsimikas' loan. Tsimikas joined the Serie A side during the summer after dropping down the left-back pecking order at Anfield, following the arrival of Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth for £40 million during the summer. Tsimikas is under contract at Anfield for another 2 years and has long been a popular member of the squad. However, he has only made 16 appearances in all competitions so far this season for Gian Piero Gasparini's side. And speaking before Roma's 1-1 draw with AC Milan on Sunday night, the club's sporting director Frederic Massara revealed talks are ongoing with Liverpool about sending Tsimikas back, with an outcome likely in the next few days. It's true there is a discussion with Liverpool, he told DAZN. We'll see how the solution evolves in the coming days. Massara's comments come after Liverpool pulled the plug on a deal that would have seen Andy Robertson move to Tottenham Hotspur before the end of the window. Talks between both had started last week, with it being claimed the deal was in the region of £5 million. But as reported by the Echo on Sunday night, after assessing their options in the position, Liverpool determined they were not able to proceed with any transfer for Robertson. However, the Scotland international could still yet leave the Reds in the coming months, as his deal is set to expire in the summer. Speaking following his side's 3-2 defeat to Bournemouth on Saturday, Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk made clear he did not want Robertson to leave. "Of course I speak to him," the Dutchman said. "I speak to him every day, he's my vice-captain. Robbo is a very important member of our team and I want him to stay, but whatever happens, let's see. Do I expect him to be here on Wednesday for the Carabao game? That's not on me, is it? Let's speak about my best memories of him when a move happens." Asked about Robertson leaving on Saturday night, Slot said, "What do you think my answer is going to be? Have I ever said anything about transfers in front of these microphones? My answer is always the same, and it's quite boring to always give the same answer. We don't talk about transfers in public." What the Echo learned about Andy Robertson's Liverpool future before Tottenham talks cancelled. When Arne Slot made Andy Robertson his vice-captain at Liverpool in the summer, these last few days won't have been how the head coach envisioned the long-serving defender spending the final week of the January transfer window. After Trent Alexander-Arnold had decided to up sticks to Real Madrid, Slot was in the market for a new deputy to club captain Virgil van Dijk, and it was Robertson who fended off strong competition from Mohamed Salah and Alisson Becker to get the nod. Slot's thinking for overlooking Salah was the idea that both Van Dijk and the Egyptian would, more often than not, be in the same team together on the pitch. The same applies to Alisson, whose quiet nature still resonates in the dressing room. When the Brazil international speaks, his teammates listen. Robertson, thanks to signing of £40 M. Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth, was less likely to be featuring as often in the same starting lineups as Van Dijk, and his leadership qualities at international level dovetailed nicely with his standing inside the squad itself as he approached his 9th season with a CV as glittering as anyone else in the 21st century at Anfield. Just a few months later, the vice-captain has been stood at a genuine crossroads. The approach from Tottenham Hotspur last week came as something as a surprise to some at Liverpool, but it is a plan the Londoners were looking to bring forward after initially looking to jostle for position with a litany of other interested parties to take the defender on a free transfer this summer. A fee of around £3 M plus add-ons had been reported, but before confirmation came through last night that the plug had been pulled on talks between the clubs, it was stressed to the Echo that no decision had been made yet by player or the Reds, even though there was a willingness by key figures on Merseyside to recognise and respect the wishes of someone who has proven, pound for pound, to be one of their greatest signings in decades. Having joined from Hull City for just £8 M in 2017, that, in fact, was something Robertson himself was keen to highlight when he spoke about his future in November, and more recently after the 4-1 win over Barnsley in the FA Cup. "They've done everything for me in terms of me and my family," he said when asked about the state of play in November after the 3-0 loss to Manchester City. "I think I've not been too bad for them in terms of signing from Hull for £8 million and what I've done." At the time, Robertson revealed he had yet to be approached over new terms and claimed that while he was relaxed, it was a situation that would probably start taking over his life the closer it got towards the end of a deal signed in 2021.